All right, we're going to get through this foldable if it kills me. Not going to kill y'all, but it might kill me. All right, so we just finished doing multiple representations, talking about how you can tell if it's a quadratic or not. And we're getting ready to do almost the last page. Okay, so, phew. All right, here we go. I have to get my little marker out. Oh, nope, it's already out. All right. So now we're looking at an actual graph that represents something. We're talking about the relationship between the height and the distance if you kick a soccer ball. So the label disappeared, but this is actually the vertical distance. Maybe I'll put it out here. And it's probably feet. It's probably not yards because you can't kick that high. Okay, so really the only thing we're looking for on here is we're looking for our points. So we're evaluating the graph by looking for, remember seeing f of 7.5. So when you see the number inside the parentheses, that's your x value. So x equals 7.5, and we want to know what y is equal to. So I'm going to go to my graph. 7.5 is right here. So I'm going to follow it up to my curve. I'm going to go over here. It's probably less than 4. Let's say 3.8. Okay, so f at 7.5 is 3.8. F at 22.5, I'm going to have to come over here to 22.5 feet. And I'm going to draw my line up. I'm going to go over, and it's actually a little bit more than 8. So I'm going to say x is 22.5, y is 8.2. Okay, and then when f of x equals 2, now we're talking about y equals 2. We want to find the values of x. So when y equals 2, we're right here. Notice that there's going to be 2 places where y is equal to 2 on your x. So there's going to be 2 values. X is going to be equal to 4-ish, and x is also going to be equal to about 61. So sometimes with your parabolas, you're going to have 2 values for x to 1 value of y because it's a parabola and it goes up and goes back down. All right, so there is that. And then for the next part, I'm going to go ahead and give you some values for x and y, and we're going to do a quadratic regression on the calculator. So let's do 7 and 8, 20 and 15, 33 and 24, 47 and 26, and 60 and 24. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my calculator. And I'm going to clear, no, I'm not. I'm going to second quit. I'm going to y equals. I'm going to clear out my equation. I'm going to go up to plot 1, and I'm going to turn it on because I want to see my points when I put them in. Okay, so we're going to go to Stat, Edit, and here's my L1 and L2. Remember, L1 is X, L2 is Y. So I'm going to put in 7, enter, 20, enter, 33, enter, 47, enter, 60, enter, Then I'm going to go over to L2 and I'm going to put in 8, 15, 24, 26, and 24. Okay, so now that I have those in, I'm going to do stat, calc, and I'm going to go down to number 5, which says quad reg, because we're doing a quadratic regression. Hit enter. It looks very similar to when we did the linear regression. We have X1, L1, and L2. Skipping that one. For my storing, I'm going to do vars, yvars, function, y1, and there's my y1 to store, calculate, enter. Okay, and then I'm going to write down negative 0.01 x squared plus 1.02 x plus 0.62. So I'm going to write that down on my foldable in just a second. But let's go ahead while we're here and look at the graph. So a few things you might want to write down that I did, and you have some extra room on your foldable, is I changed the window. Yours probably looks like this from Zoom 6. Okay? You only see one of the points, which are the little squares, and you're looking at the whole graph. Now, typically, when we're graphing things like this, like in the example above, we're talking about kicking a soccer ball. So when I'm talking about that, I don't care about the negative numbers because we don't really do our negative distances and heights unless there's a hole in the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Window, and we're going to change our X-min and our X-max is where we start and finish. And Zoom 6 makes it -10 to +10. So I'm going to change my window to 0 because I don't care about any negative numbers. And I'm pretty sure we need to go to, oh, I forgot what this is, but it's really, no, it's big numbers. Okay, so I know that my X values, I went up to 60. So I'm going to go ahead and put 100. And then my scale is what I'm counting by. And I'm going to go ahead and put 10 because then I just won't have those little hash marks too often. I'll just have 10 of them. Then for my Y min, again, 0 because I don't care about the negative. My max, we only went up to 24 on our table, but I think I'll put 50. And I'm going to have a count by 5s. And I'm not going to worry about the resolution, and I'm not going to worry about my delta X, and I'm not going to worry about my trace steps or any of that other stuff. All I'm really doing is setting up my X-min, X-max so that when I hit graph, okay, now I can see all the points I put in, and I can see the quadratic equation and how well it fits my data points. So there's the graph of what it looks like. So a couple things to think about when you set your window. Okay, don't ever hit Zoom 6 again because that'll reset all those numbers back to what they were when you started. Go straight to graph. If I decided I wanted to not have it be so tall, I could go change my window, go to my Ymax, and make it 40. I'll keep my scale the same. Hit graph. Okay, now it looks a little taller because I knocked off some of the values at the top of my Y. Okay, so quadratic regressions look like that. If we had not, well, we'll do that in a minute. Talk about if they're linear or quadratic. So let's call that good for now. Let's go back to our foldable. And I'm going to write in my equation for my quadratic regression, which was y equals -0.01 x squared plus 1.02 x plus 0.62. So that's our quadratic regression equation we got. Putting this data into stat edit. And this was stat calc number 5 is quad reg quadratic regression. Okay, last page. So if we're evaluating, that means we're finding the answer. Just like when we did f at 21, f at whatever. My f values now, my x values are, I'm doing f at -3, f at 0, f at 1, and f at 5. So I'm doing multiple answers. So probably to make it easy, I'm going to make a table. And we would put all those into our formula, into our equation, and we would solve for y, and we would put all that in there. But since I've already started showing you the calculator, let's go back here, clear it out, clear out our plot. And for y1, I'm going to put in the equation, which was at the top of the foldable, which was 3x squared plus 2x plus 6. Okay, there's my equation. Now I'm going to do second graph, and I'm going to look at my x and my y values, and I'm going to go find the ones that were listed in the table. So here's -3. I wonder what I did different because now my answers are different. Let's go back to y equals. Did I put that in right? 3x squared plus 2x. Oh, minus 5. Yeah, I didn't do that right. That'd be y. So I'm going to change that to -5. I was looking at the next problem. Okay, second graph. So -3, I'm going to write 16. -2, -0, 0. I'm going to write -5. 1, I'm going to write 0. And 5, I'm going to write 80. So when I put them in brackets, and I'll do it in a minute on the notes, I'm going to put them, I should put them in order, but I'm just going to leave them like they are for right now. Okay, so hopefully you wrote down those answers on your foldable, because I'm going to go ahead and do that too, because I can go back and forth all day long. Okay, so this was 16, -5, 0, and 80. So if I wanted to match my range, I would do just like that. Okay, so let's do the next one. Same thing. We're going to do our x and our y. We're still doing domains. So we have -31, -9, 5, and 22. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear it out. I'm going to put in -5 x squared plus 2x plus 6. Second graph, I'm looking for, oh, now I'm going to have to do some work because I'm going to have to go to -31. So -31 is -4,861. Then I'm going back down to -9. Okay, -9 is -417. Then I'm going to keep going to 5. Which is -109. And then finally 22, which I'm almost there. Thank goodness. 22 is -2,370. So back to my notes. -4,861, -417, -109, and -2,370. So my range would be -4,861, -417, -109, -2,370. All right. So last one. I'm going to put that equation in. I'm going to do it in my calculator again because I have 4 different values of x. Although I did notice that I could almost work these out easier than I could put them in my calculator. So when I go to my calculator and do second quit, and just right here, I can put in 2 times negative 32 squared minus 3 times negative 32 plus 1. 2,145. All right, and then for the next one, I'm going to put in 2. I'm not even going to do this one. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is easy. And then for f at 3, I can put in 2 times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, times 2 is 18, minus 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 1, and that's 10, but I'll do that in a second. And then my last one is going to be 2 times 44 squared minus 3 times 44 plus 1. That's 3,741. Alrighty, back to our notes, and I'm not going to have room, so I think I shall write them over here. I'm going to write, we have negative 32 and 2145. We have 1 and 0, because I have 2 minus 3 plus 1, which is 0. I have 3 and 10. And I have 44 and 3,741. So there's my 4 points that go with these 4 values for evaluating our function so that it is whatever it is we're looking for. Okay, that's the end of the foldable. Phew!